So I had to figure out, because I couldn't afford office space, how I was going to store files and how I was going to operate.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Seven Figure Journey podcast. We're excited to have you here. I'm joined today by Laura Ramos James from Ramos James Law. We're excited to have her on the podcast today. Um, uh, for those of you who are familiar with our podcast, remember our Seven Figure Business podcast is all about following the journey of small business owners and entrepreneurs and hearing their stories. So, Laura, we would love for you to share with us your journey.
Yeah, I'd love to do that. Thank you for having me. Let me try to make it concise. I am originally from Mexico. That's where the accent is from. I grew up in Mexico, and I was a trauma survivor. I got bit by a German Shepherd when I was 3 years old. And my family had to deal with that. I grew up basically having to deal with that for the next few years. And I always wanted to be a lawyer. There was an entrepreneurial gene, so to speak, as well, and also I guess a desire to become a mom one day. So years go by. I moved to the U.S. To pursue my legal career for a lot of reasons, but I ended up here. And, I ended up doing the opposite of what I currently do. I'm a personal injury lawyer. I started as an insurance defense lawyer, and I just wanted to be in the courtroom. That was the first job I got, and I loved it. I was in the courtroom, a couple times a week. I got a lot of litigation experience, which is what I wanted. But I started to see myself sitting across from injury victims, and I couldn't help but relate 100% to what they were going through. I had an experience where I had a widow sitting across from me, and I was supposed to be, my goal that my supervising attorney had given me was, you have to get her to testify that she's fine and she's moved on with her life, and all is good. And it was very hard not to cry with her. She had not moved on with her life. Of course, the insurance company didn't want to pay her, and they wanted to delay, and they wanted to make her claim seem very small and trivial, and it wasn't. And so that's when I decided to switch and become a plaintiff's lawyer, something that fully aligns with my own experience, as an injury victim or survivor or whatever you want to call it. And so I became a plaintiff's attorney. I moved to Austin, Texas, where our main office is. And then I worked for a couple of other law firms, and I just, even though I was doing what I had always wanted to do, and now I was actually helping victims, something was missing. And in fact, a lot of things were missing. And it wasn't until my husband and I started talking, and he would just ask questions that really, really got me thinking, what do you enjoy about this job? What do you hate about this job? And I came to the conclusion that, I was not going to find a law firm that was going to have everything that I wanted, because one of the things that I wanted was to be an entrepreneur. So I had to start my own law firm. So I did that 6 years ago, and it's changed our lives. My husband hopefully will join here in the near future. We'll see if the kids want to join as well, but it's something that I love doing. And as any entrepreneur, I live, breathe, and it's everything's the law firm. And so very happy with that decision.
Fantastic. And what things can you share with us and our audience with your journey as you opened this law firm and you started to grow and bring on some team members? And what are some challenges that you faced and some key lessons that you learned?
Yeah, so the law firm got started before the pandemic. And I've met lawyers who open their own firm, and they have like big savings, and they can get, awesome overhead, like a big, nice office, and or bring some clients from their previous firms. The way I started, I had nothing. I had a laptop, and I had Laura, and that was it. I didn't have any equipment other than the laptop, and I brought 4 cases along with me from my previous firm. cases that obviously the previous attorney didn't want to keep and was not too excited about. So they came with me, and this was pre-pandemic. So I had to figure out, because I couldn't afford office space, how I was gonna, how I was gonna store files and how I was gonna, basically operate. And so I decided that, in my industry, in the legal industry, is not very common to, or it is now, but it, you live and die by paper. So, it was very common then to have conference rooms and things full of filing cabinets. And, I just became paperless. And that, I mean, that was one of the, probably one of the driving factors for the early success, financial success of the law firm, that I was able to keep the overhead to a minimum. I didn't have to pay some fancy place downtown, because I would go meet with clients, anywhere, like at their home, at the hospital. I would meet with them at Starbucks. And so that, I mean, that was really, I'm grateful that that decision came. The other one was keeping ties with the community. Some people, I visited with mentors and with friends and stuff, and some would say, like, spend your energy with people that are going to be helpful to your business and your growth and all that stuff, and that's definitely true. But I will say that very productive relationships, I would not have expected would be productive. Like, for example, I stayed in touch with people who did exactly what I was wanting to do, personal injury lawyers. So you would think they're your competition. So, like, don't waste your time. And I know of other colleagues that don't even want to go to the gatherings of other personal injury lawyers, because they're like, I'm they're not going to refer me any cases, that, they're my competition. When in reality, I ended up becoming friends with people who were exploring, focusing on other specific, like, subspecialties, if you will, of personal injury. And there were cases that were too small for them, and they were perfect for me. So I took those. So those are, I guess, that's one of the other key lessons, that don't underestimate the connections and the people that you meet. You truly, you will never know where that's going to lead. I ended up having a meeting that led to acquiring 25 cases, and that's basically a law firm. And then, the other side of that, though, I will say, I joined a networking group early on, and I didn't manage my time very well. And sometimes I mean, you now probably can tell, like, I'm not like super aggro and, cut people off and stuff. And so I would have these meetings that sometimes would last an hour and a half, and someone was selling, like, vitamin supplements, and, like, I couldn't really help them, they couldn't help me. And so just being a little wiser with my time would have been better, just, or declining meetings that we were not going to be able to help each other. Sure, we'll see each other socially and hang out, but, for purposes of, like, management of the day, or I'm trying to grind out and build a business, that probably wasn't the best time expenditure that I could have done. um, and the other thing, finding some, early on, finding, as I started to grow and work, I had to make a decision. Like, am I going to be a solo attorney that just, you can have staff, but you're still the attorney? Or do I want to have a team? And I ended up, for different reasons, deciding to build a law firm with other attorneys and have that team environment, and finding people that, I guess, had qualities that, that, thank God, I wasn't, I was, I guess I'll give myself some credit. I was smart enough to see in them, and that they put some faith in the law firm. Those key people, to this day, I mean, they've basically been my right hands and have helped build, a pretty nice business.
Fantastic. I love the intentionality around what you brought up of hey, networking and having relationships with businesses that you're quote unquote in competition with are so important, because you're building and establishing these relationships. Because exactly like you said, that the one law firm, they had a, a client that, you know, it was better served somewhere else, and they were able to pass that on to you. And had you not had the intentionality around making sure you were building those rapports and establishing those relationships, that was possible missed opportunity, right? For both cases, right? The client themselves would not have had an opportunity to have things, had a place where they could go to get the help they needed, and you wouldn't have had the opportunity to help them. So,
That's right.
yeah, that's fantastic. I love hearing that, and the intentionality of saying, you know what, yeah, I could do this solo, but I want a team around, so we get that team environment so that we can maximize the amount of good that we're doing. So you're taking these things that you want to go do, you have this passion around going and helping these people, and now with a team you can do so much more of that than trying to just do it solo with some back support people. But actually,
Absolutely.
no. So I would love to hear your thoughts on what why is that solving that problem of determining whether or not to be solo or to have a team, why is that so important to the success of your business?
Oh my goodness, it's been critical. I truly believe that there was a practice that could have been great with just one person, and there are many practices like that. But finding other people that had shared goals and values and passion just like exponentially maximized everything to the point where when I first started, I went on my bachelorette party, and I had no, like I said, I had no staff, no backup. Even if I had staff, people sometimes have questions that the staff can't answer, that the lawyer is the person that needs to be on the phone. And so I took a very important phone call during that trip that I really, it was very hard to take during that trip. But just I guess just finding that like you said, the good that you can do, having a team that can help, those things don't get missed, and you're able to. I mean, now it's better to, if you want to really disconnect and take vacation and things like that. You do that for each other. People can actually go reset and not have to hear about work. Whereas, I mean, back then, I don't think that was sustainable. Truly, I commend people who do it. I don't know how they do it, but God bless them. I did it for a couple years, and I just think having a team, you can do more. Like you said, it just maximizes all everything you can do. And I mean, I was so driven, to go and get the clients and go get the business going, that it became too much for one person to handle. So having others, and having like-minded people, right? Because I learned the lesson that many other entrepreneurs have probably learned, which is sometimes you're really on a bind, and you got to hire someone, and you hire someone maybe just to help through hard times, but maybe it's not the right fit. It's not, doesn't go with the company culture or things like that. And so I've learned some lessons through that having a team truly takes, at least in my personal situation, has taken hand picking and figuring out that we are truly like-minded, have values, have common goals, and passions.
Oh, I love that. Having the focus around making and ensuring that everybody that you let into your company is a values fit is so crucial. So crucial for maintaining that culture and that atmosphere, and so that you know that they're your people, right? And you can feel comfortable about, you know what, I'm going to leave and I'm going to disconnect, and it's okay because they have the same values as me, and so they're going to make the same decisions that I would have, and it's going to be okay, and I'm going to be fine, so I'm going to disconnect. And having that sense of mind is so important, because like you said, those who don't have that, they just keep working day in day out, on vacation, during family time, they're always working. So the intentionality around, hey, we need to find or develop a way for us to have that ability to disconnect, and as a team help each other and support each other in that. I love that. That's fantastic.
Absolutely.
Great. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story with us. It's been just a joy to get to know you a little bit more, and your company. So now we're going to switch gears just a little bit. We're going to move into, what's something that you're doing with real time as it pertains to you continuing to build yourself up as a leader and be a leader in your business, and build your team and create that team that you want to have. What's something you're dealing with real time that we can have a conversation about?
Yeah, a couple things, but probably, a challenge that I guess that comes to mind as we're continuing to grow and try to find, better ways to optimize the business and all that good stuff is it's just hard sometimes to because I'm a lawyer and I have this drive to be an advocate and this passion for the law. It's hard for me to try to work on the business rather than in the business, and so I find it hard sometimes to make decisions. A case will come in, and sometimes people will, potential clients. If I went to a networking event, they may ask directly to speak with me, and then it's hard sometimes for me to delegate and assign those cases to the other lawyers. I definitely, want all of us to be able to help people together, and I have, full confidence that they can assist them as well as I can. But definitely find it hard. I always bite on more than I can chew, and I end up saying yes to all these cases, and I love them. I wish I could handle them all, but I can't. And so the reality is, if I truly want to help, a larger portion of potential clients, I can't just help these current 25 clients. Like, it has to go down. I have to learn to be better at delegating and saying no. No matter how excited I am about the particular legal issue that's involved, or like the particular injured client.
Yeah, no. First and foremost, I need to let you know you're not alone. A lot of business owners at your size, where you're at currently, they deal with this exact same thing. Is they're so passionate about what they do. That's why you built your business, because you believe in what you're doing, and you're so passionate about it. So of course you want to say yes to everybody. You want to bring in as many customers as you possibly can, because you want to give them the closure that they need, or help them through what they're dealing with. That's why you're doing what you're doing. Um, the problem is, as the business owner, as you continue to try to work in the business and don't ever have a chance to work on the business, you're going to see that stagnant effects of that, right? Your business isn't going to see the growth that you want. You're just going to see it just kind of go up and then kind of plateau, and it's going to stay where it's at.
Mhm.
Um, it takes a mental mind shift where, in order to successfully be able to say, okay, well, I'm going to intentionally say no to some clients. I'm going to intentionally take some of the things on my plate and pass them off to other key people on my team, my leadership team, etc. That takes a mind shift of getting out of this idea of, hey, I need to be involved and hands on in everything. You've built this business from the ground up, like you were sharing with us earlier. You started with nothing. And
Mhm.
so you've put your heart and soul, your blood, sweat, and tears into building this business, and you've created this baby. And now you're holding on to that super tight, right? And that's natural. So first and foremost, allow yourself the grace to understand, hey, that's totally normal, and that happens to everybody, right? You've created this business, this company, and now you don't want to let go of it. You want to be involved in everything. You want to hold on to things, but you have something that is crucial that you just stated. Is you said, but I know that I can't keep doing that. So that's the first step, is realizing that. Because you now, as the business owner, if you continue to try to hold on to everything, and you continue to try to do everything and be involved in everything, you're now becoming the bottleneck for your company to be able to continue to see growth. Because if everything has to be directed through you, you only have so much bandwidth, you only have so much capacity, right?
That's right.
And unfortunately, you're going to have to start letting go a little bit of some things. The way to do that is, there's several different things that you can start doing. First and foremost is, you need to make that intentional decision. Okay, I know that I can't personally say yes to everybody, so I have to decide, who am I going to intentionally say yes to, that I'm going to work on, and who am I going to intentionally say, yes, we'd love to help you, and this person on my team is perfect to help you through this problem. So you have to make that determination of, whom do you serve as a company, understanding your target customer, your target person that you're going to service and help in your law firm. And then you have to intentionally decide, okay, and then which ones am I going to take and which ones am I going to pass on? That's your first step of starting to let go, right? Is intentionally determining which ones do I really want to handle and which ones are maybe some other team members on my team perfectly suitable of handling in an exceptional way that's going to provide value to our client. How do I gauge that? So thinking through and taking some time to decide that's your first step. The next step is, as it pertains to your team, is establishing an understanding of, okay, within my team, who am I going to build up as my leaders? Who am I going to intentionally say, hey, you're going to start taking these type of customers from me to take off my plate? I need to be able to continue building the business. That means I need to be not stuck in the day-to-day, but I need to be working on the long-term side of things. So here at Elite Entrepreneurs, we see things two-sided. We see that in each business, we have the operational side. That's your daily stuff that you're working on a day-to-day basis. And then we see the long-term strategic efforts of the business. That's how you continue to build your team. That's how you continue to build your business, is thinking long-term. What got us here today, where we're at, was perfect to get us here, but it's not going to get us to where we want to be. So now we're going to have to make some changes. We're going to have to think to ourselves, okay, what strengths do we have that we can leverage? And what strengths do we need to develop in order to continue to grow? That's that long-term strategic side. You can't intentionally spend time in there if you're constantly being pulled into the business and working in the daily operations.
Right.
So it's establishing some kind of cadence, understanding, hey, I need some kind of meeting rhythm to establish myself so that I can intentionally set side apart to work on the long-term strategic side of things while continuing to ensure that the business is going forward. You've created this machine. You've built this machine. It's growing. It's moving. It's working. Congratulations. For the last 6 years, you've gotten to where you're at. Well done. That has to keep happening. We can't let that stop, right? But at the same time, we need to start thinking, okay, now what do we need to do to continue to grow? What do we need to add to our machine to allow us the ability to continue to service people as we grow? How do we need to change? How do we need to adapt? What do we need to do? If you're not intentionally thinking about those things, that's when you're going to see that plateau, like you're talking about. You're going to feel like you're constantly being sucked back in. So it's starting to develop these habits of, okay, I'm going to intentionally set aside some time. Nobody bother me. I'm going to focus on what I need to work on so I can work on the business. And if I'm overloaded and my plate's already full from servicing clients, how can I intentionally move some of those clients off to other leaders within my team? And in such a way that we still are servicing them in the excellent way that we want to. And that's where you bring your values in. Like you said, you brought people in intentionally, making sure that they had the same values as you. So now you just need to trust them. If you want to empower your leaders, you have to let go a little bit. And that's painful. I'm sorry. I wish I could tell you, but it's going to be a little bit painful as you start to let go. And then you have to trust that they're going to do the things that you've shown them. So it's intentionally growing them as a leader. It's in order to empower them, you have to first give them the tools necessary to be successful, right? And so as you continue to build them up and get them to a place where you feel comfortable that, hey, any client that comes in that has a problem that's in our wheelhouse of what we specialize in, they can handle that. So in reality, I really don't have to have any clients. Every one of them can be moved to somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
So I can continue to do this long term. Now, you may still want to do some of them, and that's fine. Do it. Right? This is your business. You built this business to work for you. You didn't build this business for you to work for the business. Remember that. It works for you. You don't work for it.
That's right.
Okay. So,
Love it.
So as you continue to do that and you continue to work on that, that'll help you through that stages. Do you have any questions?
No questions. That's really solid advice.
Great. And And as we get intentional in our businesses of setting aside the time to continue to grow, if that's what we want, because like you brought up earlier in the call, sometimes, hey, you know what, I'm happy where I'm at.
That's
Well,
right.
great. If you're happy where you're at, keep doing what you're doing. Awesome. But if you want to continue to grow and develop, you have to be intentional about spending some time on that long-term strategic side of things. That's the only way that we're going to continue to grow and develop. And then being intentional about involving our team. I love your intentionality that you talked about, how you said, no, I don't want to do this on my own. I want this team along with me. So now I need to empower this team. I need to give them the tools necessary to be successful. I need to provide them an opportunity to make decisions just like I would. So how do we do that? You know how to do that successfully?
Well, sounds like you have the answer.
Well,
So I'll hear what your answer is.
so one way that we like to see that is that you have a mission. So in your company, you have a mission and mission goals. So we talk about vision being purpose, values, and mission goals. So your purpose as a company is your why. It's why you're doing what you're doing. Your values are who you are and how you show up, and your mission is what you're going to go after and accomplish. By having a clear mission, you have a next level filter on decision making for everybody on your team, because now they're serving your purpose, the why we do what we do, and every decision they make, they're going to make it based on the ability for us to ensure that we're going to reach our mission. So by establishing that, you're allowing them this opportunity to already know how to answer the question when one comes on board. Is it serving our purpose? And is it allowing us to continue to move towards and eventually reach our mission? If it is, I'm going to go after it. If it's not, then I'm going to intentionally say no.
Hmm.
And so now you don't have to always be the one that answers that question. You've now empowered your team by setting that clear vision. You've created some clarity and alignment around all the work that you're doing as a company, so that you're all moving towards the same mission. You want to go and you want to reach this destination together as a team. We're going to go after and we're going to do it. Now everybody on the team has that focus and has that next level filter of how to make those decisions. So that's one way that you can start to empower your team, is by setting those clear expectations of, hey, team, together we're going to go after and we're going to accomplish this thing. That's where we're going to reach. That's the destination that we're going after. And now suddenly everybody on the team knows exactly how to answer not every single question, but just about all of them. I'd say in the upper 90s of any question that's going to come through, they're going to be able to filter that out automatically by just tying it right back in. Are we serving our purpose? And is it going to help us reach our mission?
Makes sense.
Yeah. So great. Well, Laura, thank you so much for joining us here on our podcast today. We really appreciate it. I just love your passion around helping these individuals in your injury law firm that you've created, and that you've invited others to join you on your journey as you're building your team. We just wish you the absolute best success on your journey as you continue to grow and to reach out and help others.
Thank you.
What's the best way for anybody who's listening to this podcast to reach out to you and to find you if they have questions or if they want to talk to you?
Yeah, they can find us at our website. We're ramosjames.com. And, if they just want to Google Ramos James, we're in every social media platform.
Fantastic. Well, this has been another great session here on the Seven Figure Journey podcast. If you're listening to this, we hope that you will share this with anybody you feel that might find some value in it as they're continuing on their journey in developing and building great businesses. We thank you for taking the time to listen. And again, Laura, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.